Lesley, you're telling me that you started a YouTube channel by accident?
Well, we started it accidentally.
How in the world did that happen?
Well, I'm going to tell you in just a moment.
You're going to tell me in a moment?
Yes.
Okay, I'll sit here patiently waiting.
Thank you. You have arrived at Fightmaster Yoga, where it's not about the pose and you don't have to be perfect. If you would like to deepen your practice in a nurturing way, subscribe to this channel, because when you commit to your practice, you'll begin to see beauty in every aspect of your life. My name is Lesley Fightmaster, and I'm a yoga teacher.
Did you make up that name Fightmaster?
The name Fightmaster I married. So I married Duke Fightmaster, and that's a real name. There is a grandma and grandpa Fightmaster.
That sounds like a very handsome man.
He's very handsome.
I could only imagine.
Extremely handsome.
Very tough and handsome.
Yes, tough and handsome. That's exactly it. So Duke and I met a long time ago, 1997, and we kind of hung out for a while, got married, had a couple of kids, and Duke was working in the mortgage industry.
Yeah, I was doing pretty good financially because it was the housing bubble, and if you were just in the mortgage industry, you were doing good.
This is what happened. In 2006, I was doing pretty good financially. It was the height of the housing bubble. I was a mortgage broker. If you're a millennial, a mortgage is the money a bank lends you to buy a home.
But unfortunately, the housing market crashed.
Yes, it totally crashed. And Duke, and while he was doing that, I went to teacher training and became a yoga teacher. And I was teaching yoga, but it was really just for fun because we really didn't need my income at that time. Then it crashed.
Yeah, the economy crashed, and I was forced to get a new job. So I got this job doing phone sales for debt consolidation. And I was working in this dark, depressing office.
I was working in a dark office, talking to depressed, broke people all day long. They say mo money, mo problems, but I think no money also has problems. And
I'd agree.
I've noticed this. It's an observation.
And what I noticed and observed was that Duke was completely miserable. In fact, I'll quote you. He said, "I feel dead on the inside and cornered by life."
I actually said that to a therapist. I remember you had told me it's time. This is when we were having some troubles. You said it's time to do couples counseling, and I showed up at the counseling, and the guy's like, "Oh no, this is just single counseling for you." I was like, "Oh great, okay."
I kind of don't remember that, but I wouldn't put it past me at that point. So he was so miserable, and what I really wanted for Duke, I wanted him to find something that he loved to do, support the family, but not feel miserable about the work that he was doing. So I said, Duke, if you are that miserable, then quit your job.
I told my wife, I said, I am not happy doing this kind of work. And my wife said, Duke, you need to just figure out what it is you love more than anything else in this world and do that.
I remember you told me that I need to figure out what I love more than anything in this world and just do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds to me like what you wanted me to do was just get a job that was paying money that I wasn't completely miserable at.
Well, yes and no. I wanted you to find something that you love to do, but I also wanted it to have an income attached to it.
Right.
I guess I had expectations.
You had expectations that I was going to get a paying job. But I remember right when you told me I need to figure out what it is that I love more than anything else, I was just like, I was looking for the signs. I was looking for the signs of the universe.
Yeah.
And I was watching the news, and they announced that Jay Leno, the talk show host, was going to step down. Conan O'Brien was going to replace him, and someone needed to replace Conan O'Brien.
Right.
And that's when I thought, that should be me.
Obviously.
This is what Lesley was talking about. Figure out what it is you love more than anything else. And for me, I guess that's replacing Conan O'Brien.
Right. It makes perfect sense, even though you didn't know anybody from the talk show industry. So what did you do instead?
Well, this is in 2007. So YouTube had just started. Basically, I heard about it. So I got my own talk show with my own YouTube channel and my own studio/bedroom. And I started putting on talk shows in our bedroom.
And I was your sidekick.
You were my sidekick. And I think the first episode we had maybe 2 people in the audience. The second episode we had 4 people. And by the 24th episode we had like 30 people packed in our bedroom.
It was getting a little rowdy in there. And something that I know about Duke, because I've known him for a long time, is that when he gets his mind set on something, he just goes. And I started getting stressed because I started realizing that in Duke's mind, this was his new job. And his new job didn't have an income attached to it. And I was teaching a lot of yoga classes, and I started teaching more and more to try and make up for it because, you know, in the beginning I was teaching for fun and, you know, just a little extra fun money for me. Now it became very, very serious and imperative that I made money so that our family could eat.
Right. Well, if you're trying to replace Conan O'Brien, the money's not going to immediately start pouring in.
Right.
It takes time.
It takes time, apparently. And you did have some money set aside.
Well, when we first started, I figured out that I had enough money saved up to do the talk show for 2.5 months.
And then you did it for...
When I quit my job, I had enough money saved up to do the talk show for 3 months. I did the talk show week after week for 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah, so you started stressing out.
I was stressing.
Right. You were telling me to get a real job.
Yes.
Quit YouTube, get a real job.
At that point, I didn't care if you liked your job or not. Just get a job and make some money, because where we were living, we couldn't afford our rent anymore. And then we had...
Well, the first thing that happened was, like I said, by the 24th episode, we had 30 people packed into our bedroom.
Yeah.
And our neighbors started complaining because there was too much applause coming out of our window. They thought we were having Weight Watchers meetings.
Yeah.
So we got kicked out of doing the talk show from our house.
Yep.
And I had to go to the Veterans Hall. And the Veterans Hall charged me like $30 a show. And I just started doing the talk show from the Veterans Hall. But then we had to leave our house because we couldn't pay the rent.
Pay the rent. And you couldn't even pay the $30 to the Veterans Hall. Didn't you get behind on it?
So I was doing the talk show for 2.5 years. And I remember, Lesley, you were stressing out a little bit. And
Yeah, a lot.
She said, Duke, we're a family. We need to have 2 incomes. And I told her that she had 2 jobs, so technically we did have 2 incomes.
so
Which is true, because I was teaching regular classes.
yeah, it's funny now.
Actually, I had 3 jobs because I was
Right.
teaching regular classes, I was teaching corporate classes, and then I was teaching teacher trainings on the weekends. And I was getting so exhausted.
You weren't laughing at that joke at the
No.
time.
No, because 20 classes a week is a lot.
And then eventually I couldn't even pay the $30 to rent out the Veterans Hall. And the veterans came in during the talk show and kicked me out.
Yeah.
This is our last night here at the Veterans Hall. This is about 2.5 years in. And so I decided, by this time, Jimmy Fallon had already replaced Conan O'Brien.
Oh, but and then Jimmy Fallon replaced Conan O'Brien, and then you finally started to realize, like, hey, this talk show thing might not be working out. But even before you got to that point, we had already had to declare bankruptcy. We had to...
Foreclosure.
We had a house in San Francisco that we lost, foreclosure. You had your car repossessed. I had to sell my car. And I remember I had to drive your mom's old Buick. It was this huge, huge Buick.
Yeah, so that was probably one of the worst times of our life, don't you think?
I'd say so.
You
was
saw
dark.
no light at the
No
end of the
light,
tunnel.
no hope, nothing.
So I finally was getting pretty miserable as well. I knew it wasn't working out, so I decided to quit the talk show and do something a little bit more realistic.
And what was that?
Make a feature film with no money. So I got my hands on a camera, a movie camera.
Actually, I bought you that movie camera from my teacher training money.
Okay.
Yeah, just thought I'd mention that.
So I got my hands on a camera and I said, hey, Lesley, I want you to test the camera with a yoga routine. So you did yoga. I put it up on YouTube, forgot about it.
Yep. And I remember you said, we're going to do the yoga and then we're going to do the voiceover separately. Because one thing you learned from YouTube is that sound is super important.
Right.
So that was smart of you.
Right. So I made you do a voiceover, which people love. People love your voice. That's one of the best parts of the channel.
Yeah, we did a 30-minute Ashtanga video, put it up on YouTube. Totally forgot about it. And then
I made a movie.
Made your movie.
Which no one saw.
Well, I saw it.
You saw it. We did play it in one movie theater.
That was fun.
And then we came back a year later to see your YouTube video with thousands of views and thousands of subscribers.
Yeah, we didn't even know this was happening. So we thought, well, we could make more yoga videos.
I think what I thought was no one wants to see me do comedy, but apparently they want to see my wife do yoga. So this is what you call a pivot.
A pivot. Yeah. A channel pivot.
We pivoted into yoga, and we started making yoga videos, and then
eventually
7 years later,
yeah,
we have almost 500,000 subscribers, and it supports the family. Is that crazy?
It is crazy. And I was always on you telling you to quit YouTube and get a real job.
Yeah, I can't believe that forever you were telling me, when are you going to quit YouTube and get a real job? And now you quit your job for YouTube.
I did. I quit my job, and now I do YouTube full time.
They say that you're a success as soon as you can pay the bills doing what you love. And I love to have my wife pay the bills.
Yep.
Totally crazy. So all of the stuff that happened, you learning how to do YouTube and learning how to edit and learning how to use the camera for all of your talk show stuff, came in real handy when we did our yoga YouTube channel. So I suppose...
Yeah, what have you learned from all of this?
I think what I learned is that I don't know what's best. I guess, I think in my mind, like, hey, this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to have a job, and we're supposed to make money, and we're supposed to use that money and raise our children with it. And I was brought up, my dad was an English teacher, and my mom was a church
I remember
organist.
Your mom was getting really stressed out too.
Yeah,
she told
was
me
really
that
mad.
I should look into Tupperware and start selling Tupperware.
Sell Tupperware. And then my parents were telling me too to go and get a real job too.
So, besides yoga?
Yes.
So basically is the lesson that sometimes when something seems so bad, there could be something good around the corner. You never know.
Yes. And I think too, you never know how things are going to work out. So yes, it was a very hopeless time, and I don't wish that on anybody. But if anyone's going through anything similar, just know, if you truly in your heart believe that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you might not get what it is that you have in mind about what you'd like to create. But putting all that energy out into the universe, I think the universe will passionately rearrange itself to show you what to do next.
That's the lesson that I learned. I think that, I might throw myself into my dreams and think that I'm going to replace Conan O'Brien. But if you throw yourself into your dreams and you just go 100%, it might not work out the way you wanted, but something totally out of the blue might pop up. And if you pay attention when it does, go for it.
Yeah, because you got to pay attention too. That's a good point, because something could be knocking at your door right now that you're just like, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. So being open is super important. So that is how our YouTube channel was accidentally started.
It's a very good story. And now...
Yeah.
We went from completely broke to we travel around the world. We're going to travel to Denmark.
We're only semi-broke.
But now we're going to.
It's good.
We're going to put on some yoga retreats in Denmark.
This is our third summer going to Europe as a family.
Mm-hmm. We're going to go to the south of France, and we're going to put on a 2-day workshop in Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. So,
if you join us if you're around Amsterdam.
What are the dates for that?
July 13th and 14th.
Why do you think someone should go on a yoga retreat?
I think it's great to go on a yoga retreat. In fact, I can tell you exactly the 5 best things about going on a yoga retreat, and all you have to do is click this video right here. If you'd like to join my email list, there is a link below that you can click. I send out daily inspirational emails. Plus, I'll also give you a free core class to really get strong in your body.